Hello, everyone. Welcome to Red's Take. Let's get started. For this podcast, I know we're in the middle of the NFL playoffs and all that, but don't forget what's coming up soon. In exactly a week from today, when I make this podcast, is the NBA trade deadline. So what I want to do is I want to go over all the teams who are who I think are contenders to win a title. With certain moves made, and what moves have to be made there in order for them to contend. Um, I go through like 6 teams in the East and a bunch of teams in the West because the West is just so crowded this year. But let's get started with the Eastern Conference. Let's get started with Boston. So for them, I think their big need is upgrade at backup center. So having Robert Williams the third is really good. He's a good defender and all that. And Al Horford is a good backup center, but a lot of times he may be used as a four. Him and Williams play together, or Williams is just injured so much that Horford starts at the five, and then you have to go with Cornette or Blake Griffin. As back. I just don't think that's gonna Cornette, old Blake Griffin's gonna do you any good in the playoffs. So for me, it's like you know go after someone, like a Andre Drummond or something like that. If I were Brad Stevens, a good reliable backup center. Milwaukee, get another score. So with Middleton having his injury issues, he's not going to be able to be relied upon to stay healthy in the playoffs. And the Bucks desperately need another scorer. And when I say score, I don't necessarily mean another All-Star player, although that would be nice. But someone like and I'm not saying they're going to get him or they should get him, but someone the likes of like Jordan Clarkson, hey, come get me 16, 18, 20 points off the bench, like come give us a lift, something like that. Because as we saw last year, if Middleton was out or ineffective, the Bucks just couldn't get a team past Boston. So they need that punch. If So we'll see if Milwaukee does anything there. Philadelphia, get a proven backup who can score. Now the 76ers bench is not bad, but it could use some tweaking. DeAndre Melton, he's a good scorer in the regular season. But he hasn't had much success in the postseason. Matisse Thybulle obviously a good defender, but not going to provide anything scoring wise. Korkmaz and Yang, they get limited in the postseason. And Montrezl Harrell's a decent backup center, but again, it's not going to provide a lot of points, more just hustle, rebound, and all that. So they can go get like a Malik Beasley from the Jazz, a good spark off the bench. Then that could be beneficial and it can help them in the playoffs. Brooklyn, upgrade at backup center. Nick Claxton has, exceeded my expectations at least this year. Now I wouldn't put him as an all-star, but he's definitely exceeded expectations this year. Now the problem is the Nets don't really have anyone after him. The Nets were to get in foul trouble. I mean, then there's Shaden Sharp, and not really. So if I'm the Nets, you look for a good backup. So like I said for the Celtics, Andre Drummond's a good option. Maybe they go get Kelly Olynyk from the Jazz. Maybe he's a good option. Something like that. Um, Cleveland, get an elite guard defender. We know that Mitchell and Garland can do work offensively together, but in the playoffs, teams will attack both of them because they're not the best defenders, and that could be a major problem. One option is if the Lakers want to move on from Patrick Beverly. Well, he's a good cheaper option while he can't provide much offensively. He'll provide some more veteran leadership to your team, but also he'll provide you with some good defense. I know Toronto is looking to shop OG Anunoby. I know he's going to be a pricey get, but if you can get him, he can be your defender. You can use to lock down the best players because you need something like that if you want to get to the conference finals or even go to the finals. You need a good defender. And then last but not least in the East, you got Miami, and their clear need is just to get another All-Star. If teams like Toronto or Chicago decide to sell the farm, getting into Zach LaVine, Pascal Siakam, Van something like that, that could be the difference there, assuming the Miami is able to keep Bam Adebayo as well, would you be Butler? They would obviously have to get rid of Tyler Hero, who's a good six man, and Duncan Robinson, stuff like that. But they can get another All-Star. As we saw in Miami, they're almost able to get to the finals without having any help. So if you can get the help that he needs there, then Miami can do some damage. Okay, now for the West teams. So I'm going to combine Denver, New Orleans together, and because they both have the same need, and for them, it's upgrade at backup center. So basically, same as the Nets. there. Because for the Denver, if Jokic gets in foul trouble, I'm sorry, DeAndre and Jordan in the playoffs specifically ain't gonna get you anywhere. Same with New Orleans. I mean, Jackson Hayes, I feel like is not gonna get you anywhere. Um, so that's what I would do there. I would get a good, more better backup center. Again, like a Kelly Olynyk or something like that. Memphis, get a good defender. Same as the Cavs, you know, while Dylan Brooks likes to think he's a elite defender, and he's not bad, I'm not throwing shade there. The Grizzlies could just use another wing defender to lock down the opposing team's best players, because Brook has a trouble of getting the foul trouble, so you can't rely on him as your only defender. You need another punch there. Um, so I'm not sure what the answer is there. But I mean, just get another good defender basically. Um, Dallas, same as Miami. Get another All Star. Get some help for Luka. I thought Christian Wood could be that help, and while he's been pretty good offensively, he's not helping you at all defensively, and it has shown. And so again, go get yourself Zach LaVine or Pascal. Go get yourself another All Star to give Luka help. Now, I don't want the Mavs to sell the farm to get another All Star. Let me make that very clear. But you need to get something. Um, Golden State, find a key reserve. So I know injuries have played a big part to the Warriors' record so far, but also losing key veterans like Otto Porter Jr., Gary Payton II, Juan Tosco Anderson, like losing them was a big deal, and it's shown because Kuminga, Moody, and Wiseman are too consistent, not stepping up. So I know they got, DiVincenzo's a good backup, and that they like what they have in Jerome, but it's just like if they can go get someone like an Alex Caruso, for example, that could be the piece they need to kind of get back in shape, and get over the hump there. Clippers, get some new pieces. What I mean by this is health has been a factor for Kawhi and Leonard and Paul George and all that. It's like I feel like the Kawhi, Paul George, Reggie Jackson, Nicholas Batum, Marcus Morris, Kennard, Zub. I feel like they've been together for like 4 years now. While there's been some health problems for a lot of that time, it's just like I feel like teams kind of know what to expect from this group. They kind of know what to do against them. And while they're a good group, I feel like if they can like change the things up, like for example, get rid of Kennard and Marcus Morris and Batum for another elite player like a Fred VanVleet or something like that. Like do something like that. Like that could be interesting. Just because I feel like if they run it back, then I feel like teams are gonna, I feel like they hit a ceiling. And then I'm gonna combine Sacramento, Minnesota, Phoenix, Portland, Lakers, and Utah all into one piece here, and because they all have the same thing, and it's basically just swing big. And these are the teams that need a big move, and even then they probably still won't be title contenders, but it could definitely help and gives those a chance. So Sacramento's a nice story, but they haven't been to playoffs in 16 years. And while they can finally break that streak, I feel like they're not going to do anything once they get there. They just don't have the experience. Gobert is not working out in Minnesota, and he gets even more limited in the postseason. So that's an issue there. CP3 for the Suns is too old to contribute, and Devin Booker has already been the book's already been written on him. So he's a good scorer, but he's not going to be a good ball handler. His turnovers increase in the playoffs, so that's an issue there. Portland needs more of a bench. And Lakers need to get rid of Westbrook for shooters, and you have to cross your fingers AD and LeBron can stay healthy. And then for Utah, they just need better defenders as well, because while they have some good offensive players, it's more every game goes to shootout with them. So there's a bunch of things that need to happen there. And for some of these teams, they like a Utah or Portland, they could decide, hey, we're just gonna punt on this season, trade some pieces, and we'll restart next year or something like that. But if you're like a Sacramento, you're like a top 3 seed, you're like, okay, let's do something here. Now, again, like I said, I don't think either of these teams are going to win a title, but if they take that big swing, maybe something can happen there. So, again, that's what I think should happen for all those teams that want to contend for an NBA championship before the trade deadline. We'll see if it's a very active one or not a very active one. Last year was very active, but we'll see what happens again this year. Thank you very much for listening to my podcast today. Please subscribe to my channel to learn about me. Thank you very much. Y'all have a wonderful day.